One claim keeps resurfacing around Meghan Markle. A supposed line in a 1997 17 magazine that listed her as 21. It's tiny, almost throwaway, yet it fuels a bigger question that won't die. If that line were real and accurate, it would nudge Meghan's entire timeline, and with it, the story people think they know about Meghan and Harry. The reason it spreads is simple. It's specific. Page 90, March 1997. Specificity sounds like proof, even when the actual verifiable archive scan never appears. Clips circulate. Screenshots repeat. Commentary channels stitch the pieces together and speak with certainty. The rumor feels tidy. The sourcing does not. Names keep the engine hot. Thomas Markle gives an interview. A channel pairs his words with that unverified page 90 detail, and the cycle loops. Each round adds heat, not paperwork. What the audience gets is a story beat that sounds conclusive. What it lacks is the dull, necessary thing, documents that stand up outside the algorithm. So we'll do what most videos won't: separate plot from paper. Before we chase shadows, we'll check what the records actually say about Meghan's birth date and how that information shows up across official systems. Because if the rumor is going to rewrite a timeline, it has to outrun the receipts, and that's where the real test begins. Start with the records that don't care about headlines. Meghan Markle is listed as August 4th, 1981 on official registries. Boring, bureaucratic, and consistent. That's the date mirrored across public summaries, precisely because it originates from government-level filings, not a fan wiki. You can argue feelings. You can't easily argue synchronized paperwork. When people say, but profiles can be edited, they're right. Web pages change. What matters is whether multiple independent systems agree. In Meghan's case, the birth date you see in mainstream references aligns with the underlying documentation. That's why reputable outlets treat the older-than-stated claim as chatter unless someone brings forward a conflicting legal record. There's also the practical test. When banks, corporations, or cross-border entities file details, they use what's on the ID, not rumor. Those filings echo the 1981 date. If a different year existed behind the scenes, it would eventually surface where accuracy is legally required. So far, nothing credible has. This doesn't make the internet mystery exciting, but it does make it clear. The story you've heard about Meghan and Harry thrives on an alluring what if. The paper trail answers with a dry what is, and if a rumor is going to overturn established records, it needs something stronger than recycled screenshots. Next, why college photos and alumni nostalgia aren't proof of birthdays. Universities keep clean clocks. Northwestern University says Meghan Markle graduated in 2003 with theater and international studies. That's a straightforward milestone that fits an 81 birth date. It's not romantic or controversial, but it's the kind of timestamp institutions protect, because transcripts and degrees link to accreditation and payroll, not trending topics. Where things get noisy is in the photo albums. Viewers comb through club snapshots and reunion posts, then try to reverse engineer ages from faces standing shoulder to shoulder. But those images mix traditional students, older returners, transfers, and grad students. A salsa night picture with Meghan next to someone born in the early 70s doesn't flip her birth year. It just shows a campus that wasn't age uniform. There's also selection bias. The photos that recirculate are the ones that look like they confirm a theory. Shots that align with the official timeline don't go viral because they're dull. That's why commentary loops can feel persuasive while quietly skipping the boring majority of evidence that matches the paperwork. If a campus artifact were going to change the story, it wouldn't be a grainy JPEG. It would be a registrar's correction, a dated ID record, or a contemporaneous program listing with provenance. None of that has emerged. Which brings us to the one document that did change and lit up the discourse around Meghan, Harry, and the palace: Archie's birth certificate. One paperwork change did happen, and it turned a niche debate into a headline. Archie's birth certificate was amended weeks after filing. Rachel Meghan disappeared, replaced by Meghan's formal title, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Around the same period, Harry's styling was adjusted too. On its face, this reads like a routine alignment with royal convention. In the comment sections, it became gasoline. Why did it blow up? Because a tiny edit looked like confirmation of a bigger theory. If a name can be tweaked, people asked, what else can move? Tabloids framed it as snub, spin, or stealth. Meghan's side countered that the change was palace-driven, admin housekeeping in a system obsessed with titles and uniformity. That explanation is boring. Secret rewrite is not. Guess which version travels faster? Here's the key point. The certificate edit changed how Meghan was styled, not when she was born. It didn't introduce a new birth year, a second identity, or a hidden record. It showed, once again, how royal paperwork doubles as symbolism, how a line on a form can be read like a plot twist when the audience is primed for one. And once the paperwork made noise, the microphones found a familiar voice. Thomas Markle stepped back into the conversation, adding quotes that kept the story hot even without new documents. Next, how Thomas's interviews amplify implication, and why implication isn't evidence. When Thomas Markle speaks, the clips travel. A pointed line in an interview, a weary aside about Meghan, a jab at the palace. And suddenly, the rumor cycle has fresh oxygen. It's the perfect fuel, a father's voice layered over an already charged narrative about image, credibility, and control. The result is heat, lots of it. But heat isn't the same as documentation. Thomas's appearances revive interest without introducing the one thing that would change the scoreboard: new, verifiable records that contradict the established 1981 birth date. Viewers hear implication, then watch commentary channels stitch those quotes to unverified artifacts like the alleged 17 line. The collage feels persuasive because it's emotional, not because it's evidentiary. This is how the loop sustains itself. Quotes become headlines. Headlines get reaction videos. Reaction videos cite other reaction videos. Meanwhile, the duller reality, registries, filings, and institutional timelines, doesn't evolve. If Thomas had produced a certified document or court filing with a different date, every major outlet would have led with it. He hasn't, and that absence matters. Which brings us back to the artifact at the heart of the claim: the page 90 citation. It's specific enough to sound real, but specificity without provenance is a story beat, not a receipt. Next, how the 17 rumor works, and why platform dynamics make a single line louder than the paper trail. The page 90, March 1997 line from 17 has everything a viral rumor needs: a precise citation, a familiar name, and the promise of a tidy gotcha. Specificity feels like truth even when the source never arrives. What surfaces instead are screenshots of screenshots, cropped images with no provenance, and narrations that treat a claim like a receipt. It's storytelling masquerading as sourcing. Think about what real verification would look like. You'd have the physical issue or a reputable, searchable archive. You'd show the masthead, the date, and the full page in context. You'd provide scan quality that lets anyone read it. And you'd cross-check against other contemporaneous listings. Without that chain, the page 90 line is a compelling line of dialogue, not evidence. Platforms turbocharge the gap. A neat claim with a number, 21 in 1997, is easier to spread than a mundane explanation about records management and registries. Reaction videos cite commentary channels. Threads cite each other. The loop thickens until repetition starts to feel like confirmation. Meanwhile, the boring constants, birth registries, university records, corporate filings, don't budge. If anyone ever produces a verifiable, contextualized scan that truly contradicts the paper trail, the conversation changes. Until then, this is a study in how certainty is performed online. And that performance doesn't just shape Meghan, it shapes how viewers read Harry, Thomas, and the palace, too. Next, names, titles, and framing. Why Sussex as a family banner sticks in the mind even when it proves nothing about a birth date. Names are data. Titles are stories. When Harry and Meghan lean into Sussex as the family banner, it reads like standard royal convention, and a memorable brand at the same time. Viewers don't remember registry numbers. They remember a crisp surname that shows up on school lists, event placards, and news tickers. That stickiness makes every other choice feel more curated than it may be. This is where perception outruns paperwork. A title tweak on Archie's certificate looks symbolic, so audiences treat it like symbolism with intent. In that frame, even routine admin edits take on hidden meaning energy. It doesn't prove a secret birth year. It proves that royal style guides can become plot points the second they hit the public record. Framing also decides which crumbs go viral. Sussex signals unity, modernity, and distance from the old mold, useful for Meghan and Harry as they navigate life in and out of the palace orbit. Critics see strategy, supporters see clarity, algorithms see engagement. None of that changes a date of birth, but it changes how every detail is read, repeated, and remembered. So the question isn't just what happened, it's how it's framed. A tidy surname, a formal title, a polished press line. They build a mental picture that lingers long after documents fade from view. And once a picture sets, a single rumor can feel like the missing puzzle piece, even when it doesn't fit. Next, what the receipts actually say, what the rumors don't, and why this story keeps coming back. Here's the bottom line. The records that matter, birth registries, institutional timelines, and routine filings, anchor Meghan Markle to 1981. The university milestone squares with that, and the Archie certificate edit was a styling decision in a system that fetishizes titles, not a stealth birth date swap. None of that is thrilling, but it's the part that would stand up if lawyers, not likes, were deciding the story. So why does the rumor keep returning? Because it has characters people know: Meghan, Harry, Thomas, and the palace. And it offers a neat twist that feels more cinematic than clerical. A precise page 90 line sounds like a key under the doormat, even when nobody produces the key. In that gap, implication outruns documentation, and repetition starts to masquerade as proof. If someone ever surfaces a verifiable, contextualized archive scan that truly conflicts with the paper trail, the conversation changes. Until then, the scoreboard doesn't. The receipts point one way, the rumor ecosystem points another. Knowing the difference is the only real defense in a media loop where a tiny detail can be made to carry the weight of a conspiracy. And that's the real takeaway. In stories about Meghan and the palace, framing is oxygen. A title tweak becomes a signal. A quote becomes a verdict. The smart viewer learns to enjoy the plot but check the paperwork. Because in a world built on narratives, the quiet documents are still the loudest truth.